Okay, so I told my father actually co-founded the charity with her father, so they both got the same sentencing. She mentioned a lot of like what the family has to go through. I want to mention a little bit about the case. The first case actually ended up with a mistrial. A lot of counts were undecided, and then a lot of them were non-guilty. So it was actually a big victory for us, but then the government came back a second time, and they came back even harder and an aggressive way, and the second jury, unfortunately, made the decision to make all the counts guilty. So as you can see, it was very devastating for the community because we had so much hope, and then it was shattered like not even a year later. And my dad was actually involved in another trial before the Holy Land Foundation, so and he got 9 years for that. So technically he just started his 65 years, and he's turning 64, and like a month.
He started the sentence at 53.
Exactly, yeah. So
64.
yeah, so she was saying she's getting married in 2 months. I'm gonna have a child, soon. So all these things are happening, and I think that even for my wedding it was emotional, but I thought to myself it's one night, whatever. But knowing that my dad will not be there, and of course we'll always have hope, but for his first grandchild, or that my child or our child will not be knowing a grandfather and will not be a part of his or her life. Like it's something that I think about a lot, and it is very an emotional thing. My dad was very involved before he went to prison, like with the family. Just like some personal memories I have is him making breakfast every weekend, and it was so special because he would just always gather our family together and help my mom out a lot because extended family as well, and whenever your dad hasn't been there for so long, you start to forget how it even is to have him around. And that's heartbreaking because you can't imagine a life with him anymore. Like you start to just accept that this is his fate, that he's just going to be in prison for life because we basically exhausted every legal thing we can try. We tried Supreme Court, we tried computational sentencing, we tried presidential pardon. We tried everything, and even before Obama left office, we had high hopes for that. So at this point, it's just kind of just waiting and hoping, and then of course a lot of action-based things we can do. But just to say the least, that he was like very much involved in our life, that when he left it was a very devastating thing. Like this all happened when I was in middle school, and they've investigated the charity since the 90s. They had illegal wiretapping and all of that going on, phone call tapping, and we've heard all that in the cases. In the cases, they tried to bring an anonymous witness to witness against our case. That was, from
wearing a disguise.
from the Mossad,
from Shinda.
Exactly from Shinda, and so it was very hard for us to sit there and listen and to all of the things that were going on in trial because the judge was so biased and he didn't admit any of our evidence, and we could not show what the HLF actually did. No pictures, no videos, nothing of our work. Nothing that we actually did was shown in court. It was all videos of suicide bombings and things that had nothing to do with us, just to make a jury that was majority white scared and fearful for their life. And despite that, actually the first trial, like it was all not guilty or not decided. So that's just to show you that like they could try everything, and still when there's a truth, because there was not one check, nothing, not even one single evidence that proved that they had any association with a designated terrorist organization, which is what they were trying to accuse the charity of. And so when you look at it that way, you think the second trial, when they came back harder and they came back with more fear-mongering and all of that, that the people, it was during Thanksgiving and Christmas time, and they made their decision in a few hours. And so, to make them all guilty. So it was more of an impulse and a decision that the jury made that they already decided before the trial even began. They decided, all of our father's fate in a few hours. And so that's, I think, the most heartbreaking thing.
Thank you so much.